The Australian turtle players love this risk map. That's right, that's the map of Australia itself. And to be honest, when starting this game, since I play with lower ranked players and in the map in which there are no unborder continents, I thought there definitely wouldn't be much turtling at all. But only if I knew how so much wrong I literally was. The Australia's name brings all the turtling players itself, nothing else is needed, and this game is just going to be hilarious. I'm Red, the first player in this 6-player fixed card game. And by placing my newly gotten troops to the Victoria and Tasmania region, I clearly show my intention to go for it. For someone to contest for it with me wouldn't be that much smart at all when there would be quite easier region options for them to go for. To try capturing a continent and waste troops on turn 1 probably wouldn't be that much smart, since I could just end up wiping it out for someone else. So unless I had a bunch of troops into that continent, and I would be sure that nobody could do much of a damage. But in this concrete situation, I would say it's better to take things safe and slowly. No need to waste my troops yet on something which I wouldn't necessarily be able to hold. There are bigger player armies next to me, and by attacking the 3 troops of the pink player, I wouldn't like that some another player would immediately wipe me out from my continent if with me getting some more splits rule. Or I mean, even if not wiping out, some of the player could easily invade me. So firstly, I would like to see my opponents being busy with something else before capturing my continent. Firstly, I need to see what their plans are. And of course make sure that they would be friendly to me, or at the very least not problematic to me. So this is why I sent the alliance request to everyone. Well, the yellow player actually sent it for me by himself. And that could indicate at least one of 3 different options. He either genuinely wants to be in the alliance with me over anyone else, or he could possibly send the alliance request to everyone like me, or he just sent it because he wanted for me to be his friendly neighboring player, since he intended to go for the continent which would have been bordering with me. So before the white player moved into it and threatened him to go out or risk his troops getting crushed. But probably mostly because we would have been neighboring, or that's possible that with him not getting into a conflict with white and just moving out, that he is more experienced player as well, sending the alliances to everyone, so others would be focused on each other while leaving him alone, that he would have as many friendly players to him as possible. And also, you probably noticed that I delayed sending the alliance to the pink player, sending him the alliance request quite later than to others. And that is because I needed and still actually need to crush his 3 troops from my continent. The thing is in that if you make an alliance with someone, but then just straightly crush an army of their troops, then they could get mad and immediately break the alliance with you, especially if it's a low-ranked player. So if you see that you will have to crush a bigger amount of other player troops, then better firstly crush them, and then only after some time send the alliance request to them. But in this case, since I'm not going to crush these troops when there are players who look threatened to me, I sent the alliance request to him in hopes that he is going to move his troops out from my continent by himself, so I won't even have to crush them. And talking about intimidating players, the only one that's left is white, with the orange player disconnecting and with either other players going for continents somewhere else not next to me, or not having some bigger armies next to me. But the white player, even though after some time accepted my alliance request, he still left his biggest army next to my border. So that lets me understand that he doesn't really treat it as a genuine alliance. When leaving his biggest army next to me while not caring about yellow or green, he indicates that he either would like to attack and destroy me, or that he doesn't trust me at all and really feels intimidated by my biggest army. But either way, feeling bad vibes from me. And this is actually the reason why I'm actually delaying of capturing my continent before trading in a set, as the white player could just try taking me out. But either way, I wouldn't like to move out from the territory I'm currently building my army to, because if with white player getting that territory and moving his army into it, I wouldn't have a continent to go for anymore, and then capturing my continent and moving my army 1 territory down would probably really intimidate the green player, or with moving my army to the territory on the right, my army would be kinda isolated. so I just want to leave my army where it is, so unless I wouldn't really care of capturing that continent anymore. But now with the white player actually moving his army out, I will capture my continent soon. I mean, I could capture it now, but firstly I want to trade in a set to have enough troops to guard my another border against the orange player. I wouldn't like that the orange player would move into my continent and I would have to waste my troops on it. But not so sure on the bot's behavior. It seems that they tend to stack their troops next to another player's bigger army, so since I have a bigger army next to the orange bot, he maybe even wouldn't invade me into unguarded border. But don't want to risk, and I guess we're just going to see after I trade in my set. To be honest, I'm quite dissatisfied how the game has been going for me so far, what I mean with either me be forced to delay of capturing a continent, or just forcing the delaying by myself. I mean, usually if I go for a continent, then I get it so much faster, but this time since I saw some bigger possible threats, I'm just prioritizing safety, which costs me to be into disadvantage in contrast with some other players. But I mean, it's probably better to play slower but safely over risking and wasting troops to either get lucky or be taken out. I mean, after all, I have the alliances with everyone except obviously the orange bot, since it's not possible, so I should be good either way, even with me being in the troops disadvantage. So while I'm not being great, I'm still more or less fine, as nobody will probably attack me so as long as I do not attack them by myself. But since I'm one of the weakest players, that could be possible that one of the stronger players could just eventually decide to take me out, so this is what I'm not just really happy about. I do not have that much influence to the game and rather being dependent on others. But most importantly, I'm in the alliance with the strongest player, which is the green player. Meaning that if he wants to attack someone, then firstly he should attack someone else, some of the non-allied players. So this is what makes my situation much more promising. But I mean, my strategy is similar to basically all others, and they have better continents which gives them more troops than me. The white, yellow and purple players seems to be friendly and not attacking others as well. And especially when it comes to the white player, he seems to be the biggest turtle, while others might be possibly intimidated to attack or start a conflict with someone, they still try to guard their borders properly. While the white player seems to be a player who definitely knows the turtling strategy, for sure. He builds a big army inside his continent and doesn't guard any of his borders, leaving ones of them. So other players wouldn't be threatened by him, since with him not having any troops on their borders, but at the same time wouldn't dare to invade him, since they know that his whole big army could be used on them, so not something they would like to risk. And what usually a turtling player does, is just continues building an army inside his continent, doesn't plan on attacking others at all, and basically just wants to wait till other players overattack each other while leaving him alone. So then with him having more troops than the remaining players combined, he would finally fortify his army out of blocked place and simply wipe all of the players out, winning the game. So I know that the white player isn't going to progress the game, and such players are the least needed in my game. If someone turtles, then I just want to be the only turtling player in the game myself. So then I would just myself alone would be waiting till others destroy each other. So because of that, if the white player gets any weaker at any point of the game, or if I become stronger and get a better opportunity to take him out, then I will definitely do it. As I don't think he is going to attack anyone, while other players who place their troops on their borders have that potential. So what I generally mean is that I would like to end up being in the endgame with the players who would have the highest probability to overattack each other, rather the ones who would be the most unlikely to get into some conflicts. The white player so far seems to be the smartest player in this game, so with him being my biggest competition, it would obviously be in my best interest to get rid of him when possible. I mean, it would be good to keep the white player alive, only if I started getting way more troops than others having a bunch of continents, so then it would obviously good to have a player in the game who wouldn't have big intentions to attack me, so then I could just continue getting strong. But in this case the green player is going to be another stronger player, so ideally I would get rid of white, while leaving the yellow and pink player to potentially fight with green or get attacked by him himself. But to be honest, I don't think it will be possible to get rid of white without wasting many troops, so unless the white player would start attacking someone by himself and with that player retaliating. Anyway, to take out the orange bot after him invading me was a well-thought risk. First of all, besides them all being my allies, what I saw that all of them are very pacifistic and passive in general. Like at first the green player barely had any troops in his left side region, and could have been easily wiped out by either white or yellow with them wanting, but they just simply let him hold that continent, letting him grow strong. Then the green player, even though looking to expand, wasn't attacking others into their continents either, and then the pink player wasn't a conflictful player either. So I realized that with wiping the orange bot out, I would actually have decent chances to hold its continent. And especially since with them being more of experienced players, if I pretend to be more of a noob and experienced player who could get mad very easily, so this is why I was sending these angry face emojis after the bot invading me, so that would other players know that if I get mad, then I'm definitely going to attack that player who attacked me, so with that they would be afraid to mess up with me themselves and just let me hold another continent, which is pretty good to be honest, gives even 6 extra troops. So maybe this is why the white player invaded me. But you know what's going to happen to him? He can say goodbye to his smaller army. So now he will be trapped in his continent and won't be receiving any cards, so unless he would like to invade either green or yellow into their continents and make them mad, or if he fortifies his biggest army next to my border, then I'm just going to combine my armies into one and leaving it on my border as well. As from what I see, the white player seems to be a decent player, so I don't think he will self-destroy on me. But as long as he keeps his army inside his continent blocked, I'll just continue building my troops into 2 armies like before. I'm not going to put a lot of troops next to his border on a purpose. As long as he doesn't threaten me, it's the best for me, as I will be receiving more troops from my continents, so then when I see that I have quite more, then I will finally take him out, doing that immediately and at once if I see it will be needed. But for now it's just the best to continue hoarding and accumulating more troops. I need to get quite much stronger before I will be considering doing some of the bigger attacks. Anyway, that was strange to see the pink player immediately invading me too, but then I realized that he continued attacking into the green player's continent, and then basically started self-destroying himself on others. So it seems it wasn't something personal, so just the pink player is really about to be done with this game. And actually I'm not surprised he will be eliminated first at all. It was my prediction, so I just wasn't expecting him to go on a rampage. But what I mean is that by capturing more territories and leaving bigger armies on them, that was really obvious that he will be the player who annoys others the most, and someone will start attacking him, and he didn't have to wait long. That person was yellow. So do not use the strategy the pink player did. Don't try to grab more territories leaving more troops on them when there isn't that much space to attack, as other players will see you being territory greedy, and with you blocking their way to attack territories in order to get cards, they will get very dissatisfied with you, and that's something what you want the least in a diplomacy-based game. So don't make yourself as such a target, don't make yourself as a player who others hate the most, especially when it doesn't increase your territorial troop bonus at all. Like, I'm not sure why the pink player thought it would be smart to try grabbing these extra territories. No advantage when it comes to troops and bonuses, but just a huge diplomatical disadvantage. Anyway, who will be brave enough to invade the yellow player into his continent? Certainly not me. It wouldn't be smart, and especially when we can balance him out, as he doesn't get more troops than others combined. I'm not going to invade any of my allies into their continents in general. The least thing is needed to make an enemy for myself. My strategy is basically the same as the white player's one, to let others destroy each other and wait till I have more troops than everyone else combined. So plus I'm just not trying to be or appear as passive, and then would like to build some better diplomatic relationships with more aggressive players, by helping them attack players who I know couldn't seriously retaliate to me anymore. So like I manual rolled the pink player, which was disconnected at the time anyway. While the white player doesn't really care too much of trying to build some stronger and better relationships with anyone. Differently, from time to time he randomly invades someone into a continent in order to get a card, and that's definitely not the way to make some friends for yourself. The invaded players will be annoyed and dissatisfied about him. And this is something you don't want, even if you just turtle. Ideally what you want is that others will be more dissatisfied with each other rather than with you, so that would obviously give you a good diplomatic advantage and how to increase your chances to win, especially when playing with low-ranked players who could likely break the balance of the game into someone's favor. So avoid being annoying as much as possible. Try to think of ways how to make that others will be dissatisfied with each other while feel happy about you. Or like with which two players it would be the best to end up in the 3-player endgame, so if like in a 3-player situation you end up with the players who were attacking and hating each other the entire game, then you know that it will be so much easier for you to win. So like in this situation I'm in the best diplomatic position as these players have been attacking or invading each other while I never invaded any of them into their continents. Also try to manipulate and take the advantage of more inexperienced aggressive players. Make them believe that you're attacking others with them, while actually they do the most of dirty work and waste more troops than you. So like in this case the player which could be manipulated the easiest is yellow. He was attacked by both green and white, plus he is the most aggressive player from all of the remaining players and doesn't hesitate to waste his troops at all, while the green player even after getting invaded by yellow, was still letting him hold his unguarded continents, and then the white player would be the hardest player to manipulate or basically impossible. He only attacks the territories made of ones and doesn't try to attack someone together. Though the good thing is while he is a player which he wouldn't easily take the advantage of, and even though he is a turtle player, he still tends to create enemies for himself by invading others into their continents. Which is a very bad strategy to annoy multiple players at once. Why would you like to fight a few players at once when you don't even have as many troops as them combined or close to that? You will just make these players united with each other having the common goal to destroy you. Anyway, it was definitely worth to sacrifice the alliance with the green player in order to highly strengthen the alliance with the yellow player. The green player was very weak anyway, and would have been taken out next either way. But now the yellow player getting into a 3-player endgame with white, will feel very good about me and should be willing to team up with me on white, but not the other way around, especially after getting invaded by the white player himself, which makes the matters even worse for the white player. Before me attacking green, the yellow player had put his army next to me, but then after I showed him a strong loyalty with attacking green, he fortified that army next to yellow. Anyway, in this situation I was thinking whether with taking green out I should take out the yellow player as well or not. But with it being hard to immediately evaluate whether I would have the advantage over the white player getting into a 2-player endgame or not, I decided to not go for yellow, as with us being in a strong alliance he would have been supposed to be focused on the white player anyway. But then the yellow player suddenly broke the alliance with me and it wasn't disconnection, so he made it clear for me that he would be attacking me, and that would have been the losing situation for me with me having as many troops as the white player. So basically that would have led the yellow player over attacking me and the game being given away for the white player. So I was just basically forced to take the yellow player out and expect the best in the 2-player endgame with white. I mean, if the white player's army wasn't blocked, then I definitely wouldn't have taken the yellow player out, but with it being blocked it gives me some reasonable chances to win, so I decided to take that risk. Anyway, as you saw when setting up troops to guard my borders against white, I forgot about one of the borders not adding any troops in it, which led the white player to invade me into even 3 of my continents, but even with that I've got a lot of troops. And now with additionally trading in a set, I will be taking that blitz hoping for a good luck. And that's really amazing, I lost even 11 troops fewer. So good luck to the white player dealing with that. Looking to the troops counter, I'm in a quite advantage, though on the other hand the white player won't be losing any troops when attacking the territories made of ones. But I will say I should still be in a better situation. And yeah, the white player didn't even take his whole potential by not capturing as many territories as possible next to invading me into all of my continents, so that led me of getting some extra troops. Like in such endgame, you would like to capture as many territories as possible to decrease your opponent's territorial troop bonus as much as possible while increasing yours. In such endgame you only don't want to continue capturing extra territories if these troops are needed to protect some continents, or if you don't want to unleash a big army of your opponent which could cause even more of a damage. And yeah, that looks like a GG. Cannot actually believe I won this game, and especially when in the beginning of the game it looked like I was in the least promising situation. And also, this endgame was just insane. And now for another non-classical map, I would recommend you watching this video as well. That's another interesting game with a lot of interesting attacks, diplomacy, and strategy. So make sure to check this one out as well.